Well, hey everybody. So we're getting real close to starting our day phase, which we move right into that. But before we do that, and I actually start walking through those steps, there's a couple things I wanted to clean up real quick that happened last time. One was I did a little research, and when I was crafting the sandbags, I think it was with Teresa, somebody I had. She could only use one dice in her mechanic skill, and the dice I used was a 6, but I only crafted one sandbag for 2 action points. It's this one right here. Let's see if we get that focus. But yeah, we crafted the 2 action point sandbags, but I picked up the 6 dice, so I actually had 4 action points still left to spend. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go ahead and add those 2 sandbags that I didn't craft last time. I'll just add those to the board. So I'll be putting 2 additional sand traps, or sandbags, sorry, not sand traps, but the sandbags to the board for the spawn phase. The next thing I wanted to go over was this one. I actually took some time to read my cards off camera just to learn what I was doing. One thing I noticed that when I was watching the video and editing it is I actually had a food card over here, and I didn't use it for some reason. I fed 3 of my survivors in the group, and I said, okay, I don't have enough food to feed Erica, so I actually took 2 damage off her. Well, I wouldn't have to have done that because I actually had another food card. However, I did also notice that I have the frying pan here. And if we can focus in on that real quick, down there it says culinary. Once per day, you may feed 1 hero with feed 2 heroes or survivors with 1 food. Apply any effects to both survivors. Okay, so technically, with one of my foods that I fed over there, I could have fed 2 people, applying the same effect to them. So I could have said, well, I'm going to go ahead and feed Erica too, but she's going to have one of these biohazard or radiation symbols. Or I could just opt to feeding her regular with this canned food. However, I think I'm going to go ahead and hold on to that, and I'm just going to go ahead and say that the one I fed her with was the one that gave the biohazard symbol here. So we're going to put that on her. So it's actually the whole entire squad was able to get fed. Now, another thing I haven't touched on yet was that, our cards here have something special on them. They all have something special. Their stats are going to stay the same, when you flip from the day to the night side or the night to the day side. Everybody has an objective. Now, this objective can be taken care of at any point in the game, not just chapter 1, but if this person stays with me through all the chapters, then I have, basically any time I want to take care of this objective. So it is special to them. So for this one, it says activate the Drifter trait with no other survivors in your squad. Well, the Drifter trait is over here, and, it lists what that is. And if I was able to actually do that, then my squad would be rewarded with 2 victory points. And so everybody has their own thing, and they also have a special trait down here that's their special day trait. So for instance, Erica here has the survivor can eat raw meat without gaining the radiation symbol or the biohazard. Treat raw meat as if it were canned food. Refuses to eat vegetables. Alright, so we know that. The deaths right here, I don't even have to take the token that I just did because she can eat raw meat without the negative effects of it. So it was kind of good that I noticed that earlier. So she was actually able to be fed without incident and without health loss. So she's going to go back up to her normal 8, which is where she started. So my other ones, I want to take a quick look here just to read through them real quick. Colonel Glover has find the urgent care unit in the north scavenging zone. We haven't gone to the north yet. Teresa Vaughn as Shen. She has complete an afternoon step with no survivors in any squad going unfed. Okay. Well, we've completed an afternoon step, and right now, if I look at that, my whole orange squad was fed, and my whole blue squad was fed last time. So technically, Teresa Von Shen has completed her objective because our last afternoon step, everybody got fed. So with that, she's going to earn 2 victory points, or the squad is going to earn 2 victory points right away. So we can go ahead and move our orange squad up 2 on our chart there. Now to note that, survivor number 2, we have her token over here. This is always going to represent her. We can flip that over to the side with the little stars on it. I don't know if it's going to be able to focus in on that, but this little chip here has the 2 stars on it. All right, it's not going to focus on that too well. So that's going to stay with her. All these things can go back onto the board where they're supposed to go, and we're going to not flip the ones over to the star side until they've actually completed that. It's what it's kind of recommended to do in the book, so we know that, you know, if they've completed that or not. Okay, so here's the thing I wanted to mention. So on the shovel here, we have the text down here that says digger, build 2 sandbags for the price of 1 while crafting. Now this is probably something I need to look into because well, dang it, I already took the tokens off when I was talking earlier, and I don't remember who was in the crafting team anymore. I could go look back on the video. But it's not clear on to say if the person who's doing the crafting is the one that gets that advantage, or if it can go to the whole team since they're kind of sharing things. I kind of got to look that up, but what that would mean is if I had anybody crafting on the team that had that shovel, or probably it's going to go to the person. I would actually think that that's the way it would be written, but they would have been able to craft 2 sandbags for the price of 1, so that would have been able to give me a little more had I been able to think about that at the time, but I didn't use that. But it is something I need to keep in mind. So it's definitely a good idea is to read the cards, know what you need to do, and then it might help you out a little more. So I'm going to go ahead and read off these objectives up here. So this one is survive a night of combat with one of the Morin girls in your squad at her max health, and they get 2 rewards. Now I do have a Morin in my squad up here, but last game she did take some health off, so I can't claim that objective just yet. Summers is successfully complete a challenge in the South Scavenging Zone. We have not been to the South Scavenging Zone, so we can't take that one. And this one is defeat the lieutenant, mutate, or trigger the lieutenant's remission. Okay, so we haven't taken care of any of those, so we know we should be good to go there. So pretty much I think at this point I am ready to start my tasks for the day. No, I'm sorry, the night phase. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to begin by spawning zombies. So we're going to basically be spawning zombies from the current position of the Doom track. Alright, so our zombies are on 6. So we know we're going to be spawning in 6 fresh zombies for this one. I probably need to go ahead, and since we're about ready to move over to this side, I need to kind of focus things over here real quick. Okay, so we're going to be spawning 6 zombies, we already know from right here, and they have to be fresh, so we're going to go ahead and set those here. However, before we place our 6th one or get those ready, remember that right here, hopefully you guys can still see that, we are on the, we've already passed the 5 for the zombies, so that means we're going to be spawning in a random mutate. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pull my mutate cards over here, and I'm going to shuffle these up real quick. And we're going to go ahead and draw and see what our one mutate that we're going to be bringing in for this mission. Alright, we have a whaler. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pull that card real quick. Set those over there. Or not card, I'm sorry. We're going to pull the whaler. That's as close as we're going to get. So this mutate zombie is going to be replacing one of the fresh zombies that spawn on the board. And they are the first zombies that come on the board when we spawn. But real quick, I still have to do a little setup here. And what it is I need to go ahead and place all those sandbags that I crafted last time and set those up in the house. So I'm going to break real quick and set these up, and then when we come back we should have those on the board, and then we're going to put our zombies on ready to spawn. I went ahead and see if I can zoom in on this for you real quick. Alright, so for the sandbags, I put one here at this regular doorway. I put another one here at this window space. I put one here at this entry point right next to the stairs. And the sandbag here in this room. I'm kind of liking to fortify this area as much as possible because I think there's going to be a lot of attention because this is where they're going to want to go. They're wanting to get upstairs to the public stash token, which we have not even addressed yet. The public stash token is actually where they are headed to. That's their primary goal. If they don't see a human survivor to go after during their activation, their default is to head up the stairs to the public stash. Okay, so even though I have not put a single thing into the public stash, which is always done during the neighborhood meeting for things that are given to the public good, we still need to place the token, and we can place it anywhere we want to up in the upstairs portion of the house. So in reality, I can put it as far away as possible to make it a long journey for them to get to, so I can possibly pick them off maybe as they're getting to it. So we've gone ahead and placed our public stash, and like I said, you can put it anywhere you want to. It's up to you, but it needs to go on the second floor up here. Alright, so now that we've placed our sandbags, we'll go back over there. Now that we've placed our sandbags on the board, we can go ahead and now spawn our zombies. Okay, so we have our north zone, our east zone, our south zone, and our west zone. Now, we always start at the north zone to spawn our zombies. And the first one to go on is going to be our mutate whaler. Okay, so the next one's going to go down here to the east zone. The next one is on the south. And then we go to west. And remember, we can always have 2 zombies per space, but these take up 2 space, so we can only have 1 mutate in the space. Okay, so this one's going to pretty much go right next to it. And I only have 1 zombie left on the east side. And it's going to go in the same space there as the other one, since we can have up to 2 zombies per space. Okay, so we now have all of our zombies spawned onto the board, so we can move straight on to the next step. So the next thing we need to do is we need to go ahead and flip all the survivors to the night side of their card. Alright, so let's move back over this way and do that. Okay, and then make sure to keep their tokens in place. Also remember that these guys have special things on their cards as well. 2 things to remember is my melee is +1 on this one. My mechanics, even though I probably didn't use that last time, my mechanics is +1 on her. However, like I said, I have to just be careful that I'm noticing when these actually might kick in and take effect. Sometimes I don't even notice it, until the next video or so. But we should be good to go. Right, so my defense for the group is 2, 4, 6, 8. We have a total defensive 8 here for the orange squad, and my blue squad is going to be 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so they're already set at 7, so they're good to go. Before I move you again, let's see. The squads may begin anywhere inside the house. Okay, well, good. So where I want to move them is I want to move them on the first floor because I like to maybe try to get out there and take a couple of hits at these guys before something too bad happens. So let's go ahead and put our orange squad and our blue squad downstairs. We know blue squad's going to get to activate first, so we can put him in a good position to maybe come out here and take care of one of these here. So since I have to start in the house, I'll put blue here. And I will put orange. I'll put orange right here. Let's see if we can get out there and maybe get that one and take care of at least 2 on our first turn, because I feel like we could probably get there. Alright, so now the last step is to set the turn clock on the Horde card to 1. Alright, so remember our Horde card here. I'll just put this right here. This will probably be an easy place to track it. We're going to set it to 1. So once we get to the end of this day, and then we start that one, we start day number 2, then we'll put a white cube on that one. Or not day 2, sorry. I guess hour 2. Maybe this is only 5 hours worth. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and break real quick, and I'm going to get the camera repositioned and get that going, and so we'll have a good view on what the night phase actually has in store for us. You notice I changed the locations of my starting locations for both the orange and the blue squad. Just kind of like I said, after seeing things, I wanted to set up a little bit differently because I wanted to go after this one first. So just as it says, we can pick our starting location. So this is where we're actually going to be starting from, and we'll go ahead and get rolling on this one. So first player this time, or this go round, is our blue player. So we're going to go ahead and start with him and get the action pool started for them. They have 3 survivors: Kenny, Summer, and Dave. So they're going to be getting 6 dice for their action pool. And let's see. So got that. Actually, I wish I could kind of get everything in the same shot here with what they have, but it looks like I'm going to have to just focus on what's actually happening on the board. Alright, so we'll go ahead and move over here real quick now that I've shown you guys that, and we'll focus on our blue squad. So we'll go ahead and roll their dice pool. Okay, we have a Z for 6, we have a 4, looks like on a lot of 2s here, which we're going to have to really combine. Alright, so our blue squad we're going to need to move. We know that we have, let's see if I can just kind of bring this over here real quick. So our blue squad is, what I'm wanting to do is I want to move through this, and I already have an arduous terrain symbol here, which means that's going to take me 2 points of movement to get through. So if I want to get here to this one, that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I know I'm going to need to allocate at least a 5 somewhere in there for movement. So let's go ahead and take these 2 dice. These are going to be for our movements. So that's going to get us our 5 spaces. So we can go ahead and move our blue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's where we want to be. And we didn't go through any other spaces here that had anything that's going to, like a biohazard or radiation symbol. So we were free and clear to do that. So the next thing we want to do is going to be attack. Alright, so for our weapons up here, we have the golf club, which takes a 6, the frying pan, which takes a 5, and the shovel, which takes a 6. So we can use those in order to get what we need. Let's go ahead and use, we can use the frying pan. I'm trying to think, does any of them have a special thing which is going to really help us out? So we can probably knock a zombie down if we use the golf club. This one does not help us out in combat, and this one does not help us out in combat either. Let's see if these have any good ones here. This one's discard a scrap to deal 3 damage. It's not going to help us out. This one is gain armor equal to the squad's highest smarts, usable only once per night. We may be able to use that if we have nothing else. And then this one can dual wield a second weapon that is being carried. But we don't have anything that was actually being carried, so that's not going to help us out. Alright, so there's really no reason for us to keep the 6 unless we're going to want to use the clever defense, so let's hold off on that one. And let's use the golf club first, so that's going to take 6 action points. So we're just going to allocate the 4 and the 2 here for that one. So that's going to be 1 hit on this zombie, so that takes a fresh zombie.
down to a weak zombie. Let's see if I can. Alright, so we already know that one hit there is going to move our blue squad up 1 for the hit. Okay, so we still have a weak zombie, and we have a few dice left. Looks like we're not going to be able to use that clever defense because we need to use this 6 here to go ahead and probably use it on the shovel there, which is going to give us another point of damage, which is going to then take this one completely out. And with that, we can move our blue squad up to the 2 XP. So that pretty much finishes. The only thing they have left is 2 action points. So we're just going to use that to move. We're going to do another movement here and move 2 spaces, probably back towards the house. So we're going to go 1 and 2. That pretty much, actually that finishes the blue squad out all the way. And the next thing that we have to go is the orange squad. So we'll get that set up in just a second. Alright, so I kind of wanted to explain a little bit more about what my action is for once I activate the orange squad. And the reason that I put him here is this whaler, and I hadn't talked about this yet, but this is the one that we drew. So on their stats here, for a 2-player, which is kind of what I'm simulating, it's gonna have 7 health points. That's what I have to do. I have to do a total of 7 damage to it before he's going to be gone off the board. And at the end of each of the whaler's turns, all survivors lose a health and then spawn 1 weak zombie at each of the spawn tokens. So that's like 4 weak zombies that would spawn in at the end of every whaler's turn. And honestly, I do not want this thing on the board after 1 turn. So my ultimate goal is to try to get the orange squad to move up 5 spaces and then to do as much damage as possible with what I have here in the orange squad as weapons to try to put that one down in first turn. Or like I said, I'm spawning 4 zombies on the board, which is not great. Alright, so with that, we're going to go ahead and create our dice pool for the orange squad. So they have 4 members, so they're going to get a total of 8 dice in their pool, which is all the red. So we're going to go ahead and roll that. Okay, we got 2 6s, we got 3 4s, no 4 4s, and a 2. So not a bad dice pool to start with. The first thing I already know out the gate is 5 needs to go towards a movement. So that's going to give us 5 spaces. Okay, so we're going to move. We have 1 arduous terrain that we're going to have to go through, which is basically climbing out the window. So that's 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5. I'd like to keep myself a little bit further away from that fresh zombie there. And then we need to go ahead and allocate what weapons we're going to want to use. So for our weapons, we have a lot of good. These are all melee, so I have to be standing adjacent to the whaler, which is exactly where I am. Erica has a pretty special trait, though, and we'll read that real quick. She has Drifter. Deal 4 damage divided as you choose within range 2. Remove this survivor from your squad for the remainder of the night. Return the survivor your squad at the beginning of the day phase. So right off the bat, if I use a Z dice or a 6 dice, I can deal 4 damage to a target. But the reverse is I have to remove her from the party for the rest of the night. So it is probably, I mean, it's not the most ideal situation, but since I definitely want to take care of the whaler, dealing 4 damage right off the bat is awesome, because if I only deal basic damage, I can only do a total of 4. But since I'm using her, I will go ahead and allocate that Z to it, which means that I've dealt 4 damage because I'm using the stop sign, which also uses AP 6, but it doesn't matter. It's really not using the weapon. It's just using that 4 damage, or it's just using the 4 damage. So on the card here, I'll go ahead and indicate that we've gone down 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It only has 2 health left. So all we need to do now is basically do 2 more damage to it which I'm trying to see here. So Colonel Glover has an action point of 3. He can spend and deal -1. Oh, he could take away 1 of his health and deal damage, and I don't really want to do that. This Scrounger is draw random food or resource, usable only once per night. And once per night you may reroll a number of unspent dice in your action pool. Don't really know for what purpose yet that would be. But really the only thing we can do is just allocate 2 weapons to go ahead and use. So let's use the frying pan for 5. Man, that's kind of wasting some of my action points. Jeez. Okay. So let's use the golf club. We can use the golf club for 6. That's another point of damage that we've done to the whaler. Okay, so it's only got 1 more, and it is dead. Okay, we have still quite a bit left. We can go for another 6 here, and this one had 1 in its or 2 in its melee stats, so definitely able to allocate what we spent for the weapon there. This one has a 3 in melee, so we can use up to 3 dice, but we're only using 2. That shovel is another point of damage. And I actually think, does it need 1 more? Should be. It should be it. Had 7 life. We did 4 to it. Should have brought it to 3. Oh, I guess we do need to damage it 1 more time. So we're definitely going to need to buy the frying pan here. Now she has 2 in melee, so she can allocate up to 2 dice. So she's got to use these 2 4s here, which she's losing, 3, but she has to use it in order to activate the weapon. So with that, she's done another damage to the whaler, and that means that this one, fortunately, is now gone and off the board. So we're going to remove that and take away the mutate card, and with that we did 7 points of damage, but I don't think it's calculated like that. I think it's calculated in, let me go ahead and read that real quick. So the mutates that are defeated is reduced to 0. All squads on the map gain 3 victory points. Okay, so if all squads gain 3, it's 1, 2, 3. Now we've leveled up. We're going to be leveling up again. Next thing I need to deal with is I have a leftover 4 action points for the orange squad. Now I could either use that 4 for my survivor number 2's. She has an ability called Scrounger, which is use 4 action points and draw a random food or resource card. However, that might be... I don't think there's anywhere, and I'll show you guys over here. I don't think there's anywhere I can move on the board that's going to get me out of being attacked for you. I just can't get far enough away, and I can't get through these sandbags that I have here, which is another kind of issue I've looks like I've come across, is I think by having the sandbags on those spaces there that already have an arduous terrain symbol, it's kind of useless. I think that putting them there is just a waste. Like having them here at this one here, that's a completely open space and a sandbag, that's good. This one's good here. However, having one here and here where there's already arduous terrain, it's just kind of pointless. I don't think they double stack on top of themselves. So I'm going to have to look into that. I may end up not replacing, but putting those on a different space on the board maybe when I come back for the next night or the next round. So anyway, I have 4 action points to move this one away. I can't get inside the house as it is right now. So it would either be better for me to use my 4 action points to do like draw some resource cards, because this one's going to attack me anyway, but it would actually might be a little better because this one would actually move towards me because it has a direct line of sight once it starts its turn. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and use my 4 action points, my leftover 4 on Teresa Von Eschen for the Scrounger, and I can draw a random food or resource card. And I'm going to go ahead and opt for the food because as it is, I don't have a whole lot of food to for my next night, so I'd like to at least make sure that I'm pretty well stocked on that. So we draw one random. So we've got a food, we had some raw food, so that's going to be what we're carrying. We have enough space for that. So that's used up all of the action points for my blue squad and my orange squad. So we are at a point now where we can go ahead and activate the zombies that are on the board because it is their turn. So really, at this one right here, at the bottom, has no line of sight on any squads or any survivors, so it's going to start making a direct line to get into the second floor. And remember, zombies, where's my regular zombie card? Oh, they have a movement of 3 spaces towards the nearest squad with the line of sight or upstairs stash token. So this one is going to move probably in the least blocked path, so it's just going to go straight. So 1, 2, 3. This one here is going to go ahead and move 1 close to me. That's going to be an attack on that squad. And these 2 do not. They're going to start moving towards me because they have line of sight, which is where it started. So they're going to move 1, 2, 3. They cannot move into this space here because it's a completely blocked space, and this one is going to follow. It's going to go 1, 2, 3, and they're just going to stay in that same space together. Okay, so no attacks from those right there. And orange squad has 1 attacking zombie. So we're going to go ahead and deal with attacks and see what the outcome is. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we have this attack, so we're going to roll 2d6. Doesn't matter how many zombies are actually attacking. We always roll 2d6 for the attack to see if any Z's are rolled. So I got my fingers crossed that no Z's. Good. All right, so we only got 2 4s, so there's nobody's going to be taking any critical wounds. So the next thing that we need to do is our squad is going to take 2 wounds per fresh zombie attacking. So right off the bat, the orange squad is going to take 2 wounds, and we're going to subtract that from the orange squad's defense wheel here. And I don't think there's anything we can do to block any of that damage, so this is going to go from an 8 to a 6. Okay, and at that point, that is all the zombies can do for this round. And now we circle back to the hero round, and I'm going to take a quick little break here, and I'm going to go and do a little research on these sandbags to make sure my placing of them is correct. Now, the placing does say they have to be anywhere inside the house, so I can't place sandbags outside, so I need to figure out where these 2 need to be moved to put them in a better position or in a proper legal position, I would say. So we're going to go ahead and move this to round 2 because that's where we're at, and then we'll carry on with our second round when we come back. Alright, so I did a little digging around, or as much digging as I could. I really couldn't find anything even on the FAQs that talked about the sandbags and limitations about putting them over spaces that were already marked as arduous. So just to keep things simple, I went ahead and moved this one and this one. I moved it to this space here, and I moved the other one to this space there. If you may know more about that than me, you can let me know in the comments and see if I'm on the right track. But I think that's just kind of what we'll go with. That'll make it easier. That way we're not doubling up and then also putting them in spots where they don't matter. So, all right, so we're going to move into round 2. We start with the blue player because they are the first player. So we need to go ahead and create their dice pool for what they're going to be able to do. So we're going to roll my 6 dice for 2, 4, 6. Let's put that right here. All right, not bad. We have a 6, a
two fives, 2 threes, and a 4 here. Alright, so we're going to have a few options. Now let's go ahead and see what we actually need to do over here. We know blue really needs to get over here to help out as much as possible. They can move. The max speed is 5 for that group. So this would be, without trying to avoiding these spaces here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if I do have a golf club that could reach over there. Actually, my golf club and my golf club and my shovel has a range of 2, so I could probably use both of those if I'm careful and still have some leftover things to do. So let's go ahead and use our first dice, or our first 5 here for movement, and then we'll go ahead and get the blue squad as far over as we can. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now we've avoided all the spaces with biohazard or radiation symbols. Alright, so the blue squad is 1, 2 range away from this fresh zombie there. So what we're going to do is look at our 2 weapons and see what we can hit it with. Alright, this golf club requires a 6. It has a range of 2. Kenny can use up to 3 dice on a melee weapon, so we should be good there. Dave has the shovel, which is also a range of 2, and that is a 6 as well, and he can allocate up to 5 dice on a melee weapon. So I think we should be pretty good. This one is, if I roll a 6, I can discard a scrap to deal 3 damage. I don't need to do that. This is gaining my armor on a Z roll. I don't know if I need to do that yet. And this is double wielding wood. So nothing really too major we need to do here. So let's go ahead and spin this 6 on the golf club. So that's going to give us 1 damage. So we'll go back over here to the zombie that we're hitting. And so we've done 1 damage to it. So it's going to take it from a fresh to a weak zombie. So we're going to move the blue player up 1. So they're now at 6 for that kill. The next thing we need to do is probably use the shovel, which is going to require a 6. So I'll use the 2 dice, and he can, like I said, he can use up to 5 on the shovel, or on any melee weapon. So, but all we have to do is the 2 3 dice to give us a 6, which was enough to kill this weak zombie. So the blue again is going to move up to the 7. We still have a 5 and a 4 left in our dice pool, so we can probably do some movement depending on where we want to go. I don't want to move up here and give the 2 fresh zombies a chance to attack, but I know with the orange I'm going to come over there and try to do as much damage as possible. But man, I surely do not want to move in front of them. So, alright, I really don't see much to do, so I'm just going to go ahead and burn another 5 for movement, and I'm just going to move into the house here. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4 because of the arduous terrain, and then 5. I guess I'm getting close. Try to maybe take care of this one as it's moving up the stairs. So my next player, or my next squad, is going to be the orange, so we're going to go ahead and roll their dice pool there. And remember that we do not have the use of Erica since we used her drifter. And so we're going to go ahead and roll dice pool. We're only going to get 6. Okay, so go ahead and roll those. Eesh, not super great. So we got 2 5s, 2 3s, and 2 1s. Alright, so to make it over there to our friends that are very close by, We could move 1, 2, 3, 4, so we could burn one of our 2 of our dice for movement there. Could probably use these 2. 5 would give us, actually a 5, 6 would be able to use our golf club, and the frying pan needs 5. And the 3, we would not be able to, we'd only be able to actually make 2 hits if we got there, which would leave another fresh zombie, which would mean, doesn't really mean too much good for us. So, okay, well, let's go ahead and do this. Let's use, let's see, 1, 2, 3. And maybe we could go ahead and do that and then use our golf club, since that'd kind of be at range here to take care of 1. Let's go 1, 2, 3 by using the 3 dice here. Okay, and then what we're going to do is swing with our golf club. So to do that, we need a 6. So we can use the 5 and the 1 for the golf club because she has 2 in melee. So I'll make sure that she doesn't have anything else here. Once per night, I may reroll any number of unspent dice in the action pool. Again, I don't really understand that. This is Scrounger and this is Brawler. Okay, so we don't need any of those. Alright, so the golf club does 1 damage at 2 range. So we're going to take this fresh zombie to a weak zombie. And we're going to move the orange squad up to 1 for that kill. Next, we still need to move, and then I guess it's really all the same. I guess it doesn't matter really how I package this. It's all going to play out the exact same way. So we still have a 5, a 3, and a 1. We'll use the 3 for another movement to get the orange here, and then I will use the 5 and the 1. Actually, did I have to move to use the shovel? I would not have had to actually move to use the shovel. I take that back. Let's stay there. I'll use the 5 and the 1 for the shovel. That's a 6. He can use up to 3 dice. Colonel Glover can. So the shovel has 2 range. So that'll take care of this zombie. And we'll move up 1 more to the 7. And I still have a 3 left. I could actually move myself now. We'll put that in movement for my last dice. And we'll move 3. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Just to get out of there so we're not attacked. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3. And that's the last place I'm going to set myself. Alright, so now that we finished with both of the heroes, or the survivors, we're going to go with the zombies' turn. The first one to go is going to be this one here, and I believe that that is clear line of sight to the orange squad. So instead of moving towards the bunker, it's going to go to them. It's going to move 1, 2, 3, and that's as far as it gets. This one down here does not have line of sight on any of our survivors, so it's going to continue to move straight into the house to get into the second floor there. So this one's going to go 1, 2, 3. That is as far as it can go, and we've completed the second round. So we are now starting our third round in the evening. And our first player, we're going to go back to blue. And so we're going to go ahead and create blue's dice pool. They get 6 dice. Okay, 2 6s. 5, 2 2s, and a 1. Alright, so we need to see, we're going to definitely need to move, let's see, with the blue squad to get them either over to this one or this one here. So this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, and I believe I can attack across the sandbags, and that's a adjacent space, so I should be able to take care of that. So let's go ahead and use, we need to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 dice to get over here. We'll use the 2 2s that I have, and we'll put that on their movement. Okay, so blue is going to move 1, 2, 3, 4. So they're now adjacent to this zombie here, over the sandbags. And really we only need to do 2 separate hits. We have 2 6s here. And I'd like to go ahead and use, well, I guess it's not going to really matter. I don't really see too many problems happening after we kill these 2. So I don't really need to use the clever defense. But let's go ahead and do that. I'd like to at least say I've done it once. We're going to use the 6 on clever defense, and I gain armor equal to the squad's highest smarts. He's a smart of 1. This is a smart of 3 and a smart of 1. So we're going to gain 3 defense. So 1, 2, 3. We're up to 10. So that's been used. We still have a few more. We're going to use the 6 on the golf club, and we're going to use the 5 and the 1 on the shovel. Okay. So the first hit with the golf club would take this from a fresh to a weak, moving us to the 8, and then the shovel hit will take us, will kill the weak zombie, and we'll move ourselves to the 9. That spends all of the actions that the blue can do, and now we're going to move on to the orange. So we're going to go ahead and build the orange dice pool. So they get 6 dice. Okay, a little better this time. 2 6s, and 2 4s, and 2 3s. Alright, we need only a few points of movement to get us where we need to go to attack this one. So that's 1. Actually, we only need to move 1 space. So we'll use... Actually, I don't even need to get that far. I have 2 ranged weapons, which is the golf club and the shovel. Okay. Yeah, I shouldn't have any problems using those. So let's see, nothing. I'm going to use, I know I already used the Scrounger. Already done that. Alright, once per night I can reroll. Don't need to do that. So this, I'm going to put these 6, I'm going to put a 6 here on the golf club and a 6 on the shovel. And it's enough range, and I have direct line of sight over to this one. So the first one is going to take it to a weak zombie, and the second hit is going to kill it. So that's 2 victory points. So we're both equal. We're both to the 9. And that kills all the zombies on the board. There's none left. And so we can't go to the zombie turn. So that starts at 4. And I think we pretty much have to end it here. I'll double check that real quick just to say that we're officially done with the night phase. And let me double check that, and we'll be right back. Yeah, everything looks pretty good and clear. I can't really find anything, so one just needs to really assume that we just kind of flow through the rounds because there's nothing left to fight. So that's going to go ahead and end the night phase pretty much. So we'll go ahead and move on from the midnight step, which where we're into the sunrise step, which is basically remove all the zombies from the map. For each weak zombie remove, we add 1 to the doom track, and for each fresh, we add 2 to the doom track. For each mutate removed, increase the doom track by +1 for each point of health remaining on the mutate. Well, we didn't have any fresh, we didn't have any weak, and we did not have any mutates. So the next step that we need to do is the level up phase. If any player reaches a milestone on the progress track during the night phase, proceed to the level up phase before the day phase. Once the level up phase is complete, or if no player has reached a milestone in any given phase, the gameplay proceeds as normal. And so that's what we're going to do. So we're going to go to our level up, and it looks like both of our guys reached 5 here and beyond. They didn't quite get to 10, which is unfortunate, so they're both going to go through one level up phase. So let's go look at that real quick. And what we're going to do is we've passed the milestones. We're going to go through level up phase, and we're going to be revealing cards in reveal cards from the top of the perk deck equal to the number of players plus 1. Alright, so let's go ahead and start by making sure that these are shuffled up nice and well. Kind of had an issue on my past video where they just weren't shuffled at all, and I was just grabbing from the same pile, and it turned out not very good. So that's all looks pretty good. Alright, so we have 2 players, so we're going to draw 3 perk cards. It's 2 players plus 1, so 1, 2, 3. And we're starting with our first player here, which is the blue squad. Okay, so the first one is a mutation, yippee. And that one is a mutation. And that one is a skill. Unfortunately, we can't do either of these. Make sure we get down there. Because neither one of our blue squad people have a radiation token. They only have the biohazard tokens on them. So neither one of them can pick the mutation, so we have to go with the skill. So the skill that we're going to be going with here is, let's see, if only this hurt for a second. Survivor gains plus 1. I guess it's not going to focus on it. It's going to gain plus 1 on the first aid skill. So we're going to give that to somebody in the blue squad, whoever it's going to be the best for. Let's go see. Summer has 1, Kenny has a 2, and Dave has a 0. So probably would be best to give that one over to Dave Marcus, so he'll at least, all of my people will now have a first aid skill. I know I'm kind of making them like a jack of all trades, but figured it'd be better if we actually take them out on a run. Scavenging, they might need it. Alright, so we're going to replace the perk card that we just used with this one here. Got 3 mutations. However, it's okay because we have 2 of our people here that have radiation symbols on them. So, and let's see which one we want. This one is spend 1 radiation to gain this perk. They are faster by 2, but they're less observant. This one is regenerate. Remove a critical wound from this survivor to heal to max health power when you take this perk. This is -1 first aid. I can no longer be healed by first aid. This one is psychokinesis. Survivor may use their smarts instead of their melee or firearm skill whenever applicable. Can only gain a max of 1 health power when resetting during the morning step. Ooh, man. I'm not sure which one would be good to take. Increasing the speed here is really not going to help because Glover and Teresa are both at 5. So even if I move up 1 to a faster speed, the other one is still going to slow him down. So I don't really feel like that one's a good one. I can remove a critical wound, but I don't have a critical wound on anybody. So it looks like I'm going to be taking this one. So we're going to get psychokinesis. We can use their smarts instead of their melee or firearm skill whenever possible. Alright, so who has the, out of those 2, who has the best smarts? Well, it's going to be Colonel Glover. So I guess whenever applicable, he can use his smarts to replace one of these stats here. Man, that's actually pretty dang cool. Alright, so this one's going to go away. That has basically been used up. and we've bought our perks. So we've completed the, I guess, the level up phase. And now we move in. I'm going to shuffle these back into the deck here. And we're going to move in, I guess, to day number 2. So we're going to move our little counter here from day 1 to day 2. And these are going to reset. These are going to go back here. The Doom track is going to stay exactly where it is. And these guys can basically be put right back up here with their stashes. And then we can carry on with day number 2. So when we come back, I should hopefully have any questions that I came up with during this one looked up and take care of getting everybody. We'll get all the cards flipped over for their day phase and see if there's anybody that we can go ahead and complete their quests for. And like I said, we'll move on to day number 2, and hopefully we'll get this rolling a little bit faster now that we've actually been through it once and I don't have as many questions this time. And let me know if, you know, after viewing this video, if you guys come across any mistakes, just post them up on the comments and I'll verify if it was, and we'll add that to the description of the video, so we'll help anybody, any future players that come through here and watch this one. So hopefully you're enjoying it so far, and stick around because we'll be coming back for day number 2.